What still upsets you? I remember it like it was yesterday. Christmas morning, my brother unwrapped his brand new guitar. He was grinning from ear to ear, excitement pouring out of him as he cradled the instrument in his lap. Our parents had splurged on this shiny, sunburst acoustic guitar that immediately became the most prized possession in the house. I was happy for him, but I was also a little envious. Not because I wanted a guitar at the time, but because he always seemed to get what he asked for. Me? Not so much. For a while, he made an honest effort to learn. You could hear the occasional twang of a misplaced note from his bedroom, followed by frustrated sighs as he tried to figure out chords. The excitement dwindled quickly, though, and within weeks, the guitar found its permanent home, propped up in the corner, gathering dust. My brother's interest fizzled out just as fast as it had sparked, and soon, the guitar was forgotten. At least, until a few years later. It was during high school when I developed a genuine interest in learning the guitar. I've been listening to a lot of classic rock, and the way musicians like Jimi Hendrix or Eric Clapton could make the guitar sing, it was mesmerizing. I wanted to be able to do that. My brother's guitar, which had become little more than a decoration in his room, suddenly seemed like an opportunity. One evening at dinner, I casually brought it up. "Hey, do you think I could borrow your guitar? I've been wanting to learn." My brother shrugged, barely looking up from his plate. "Yeah, sure. I don't use it." With his disinterested approval, I was thrilled. I dusted off the guitar and eagerly dove into online tutorials and YouTube videos. I struggled at first. My fingers fumbled over the strings, and I couldn't figure out the right pressure for chords. But unlike my brother, I was determined to get better. I practiced every day, slowly improving with each session. The guitar, though not mine, started to feel like a part of me. And that's when the problem started. Out of nowhere, my brother seemed to develop a sudden and intense interest in guitar whenever I was about to use it. He hadn't touched the thing in years, but the moment I picked it up, he'd waltz into the room and say, "Hey, I was going to play that." I'd offer to let him use it after I finished, but he'd always insist that he needed it right then. Of course, being siblings, this led to constant bickering, and more often than not, I had to put the guitar down and let him practice. Except he never really practiced. He'd strum a few half-hearted chords, maybe watch a video or two, and then abandon the guitar again. But every single time I went to play, he suddenly remembered his passion for music. It was maddening. I tried to ignore it, figuring it was just sibling rivalry, but it didn't stop. Then came the day that pushed me over the edge. I had saved up some money for my part-time job and bought a Beatles songbook. It was full of classic songs, and I couldn't wait to learn them. That day, I rushed home, grabbed the guitar, and opened the book. As I was about to strum my first chord, in walked my brother. "Hey, I need the guitar," he said nonchalantly, as if I wasn't sitting right there, already playing it. I didn't even try to hide my frustration this time. "Seriously, you haven't touched it all day. Can't you wait?" "No," he said a bit more stubbornly. "It's my guitar." That's when I snapped. "Yeah, your guitar that you never use. You only want it when I'm trying to play." He stormed off to get our parents, and I thought, good, maybe they'll finally see what's been going on. But when my parents came into the room, I was met with disappointment. They too sided with him. "It's his guitar," my dad said, as if that settled everything. My stomach sank. "But he never uses it. He just doesn't want me to have it. He's allowed to change his mind," my mom said, brushing off my protests. "He's the one who got it for Christmas, and if he wants to use it now, you have to let him." It didn't matter what I said. My brother got the guitar, and I sat there fuming, holding my new Beatles songbook that was now completely useless without an instrument. As if to add insult to injury, my brother glanced over and asked, "Can I borrow your songbook?" I laughed bitterly. "No, you can't." Cue another trip to our parents. This time, I stood my ground. There was no way I was letting him take the one thing that was mine. But once again, they didn't see it that way. "You're being unreasonable," they said. "The book's useless without the guitar. Just let him borrow it." Against every fiber of my being, I handed over the book, feeling utterly defeated. He played around with the guitar for a while, flipping through the songbook, and then, like always, he got bored and walked away. The showdown. Frustration was boiling inside me, but what happened next completely shattered my patience. A few days later, I walked past his room and saw him carelessly tossing the guitar on his bed like it was nothing. My blood boiled. I marched in and picked it up. "You don't even care about this guitar," I yelled. "Why do you always take it just when I want to play?" He rolled his eyes, shrugging like it was no big deal. "It's mine. I can do whatever I want." That was it. I stormed out of the room, shaking with anger. I went straight to my parents, demanding they see the way he treated the guitar. But again, they didn't care. "You need to calm down," my dad said dismissively. "It's just a guitar." I couldn't believe it. I felt like I was living in some alternate universe where no one could see the injustice of the situation. They didn't understand how much learning guitar meant to me. And even worse, they refused to acknowledge how unfair the whole thing had been from the start. What stung the most wasn't just that I lost the guitar and the book. It was when I asked for my own guitar for Christmas the following year. I had been saving up and hinted heavily that all I wanted was a guitar, one that was actually mine. But my parents' response was cold and final. "We're not going to waste money on another guitar," they said. "We already spent a lot on your brother's, and look how that turned out." It felt like a slap in the face.